Hey everybody, PKFT1 here. We've got another little discussion for you guys today. Today I'm sitting down with Jamezietocool.
Hello.
If you guys don't know him, I'm just gonna let him introduce himself.
Oh, okay. I'm Jamezietocool and I make Persona meme videos on YouTube.
So if you guys don't know, Jamezietocool, he was obviously a big inspiration for the video that we put out recently, our Persona 5 summary parody video. And I wanted to say that the way that we found you, I think my sister actually had sent me a few of your videos, and when we had played Persona 5 for the first time, I don't know, we had this weird thing we did where we would like almost roll. It sounds really dorky, but while we would play, sometimes we would almost roleplay as the characters. Like we'd make jokes about dumb little things along the way and make references to it. And so when I would read the characters, I would do these, bad interpretations of their voices. And we thought it would be fun to make a video where we're like, oh, it'd be so fun if we could take these like personalities or these little inside jokes we created in amongst ourselves and make a video out of it. And so I was like, but I don't really know the best way of like doing it because I can't really animate much. And I had seen your videos, and my big fear was when we made this video, I'm like, I really hope he doesn't just think that we're just ripping him off. Like, obviously we were inspired, but none of it was intended to be like a complete rip-off. So we're like, okay, we really got to make this unique in the sense that I was like, well, he uses a lot of the like concept art of characters and stuff, or the official art of characters. So I'm like, I guess I'll use the characters 3D
from
models
the game.
and just rip them from the game. So I like went through and took like screenshots of all the characters and just did little cutouts in Photoshop. And I was like, well, I'll throw in talking heads and I'll try to use all, for the most part, backgrounds from the game. But that being said, I really hope that you didn't take it as us just like ripping you off completely.
No, but what you guys did on that video was like very unique. I didn't even like consider it to be a ripoff. It was like you're like taking just the basic concept of just animating like these still images and turning it to something else. So
yeah,
it's all cool from me.
Okay, because that was a fear of mine. I'm like, I really hope that he doesn't take this the wrong way. But obviously, a lot of it was inspired by you, because I think the way that you do your videos, or the way at least you write them, you have a very similar, I think, sense of humor to myself. And so your style of video has always really appealed to me. I'm like, okay, I want to do something somewhat reminiscent of this. But that being said, I want to ask you, how did you get into Persona originally?
Okay, so the first Persona game I played was Persona 5 when it came out, I think in 2017. And then, yeah, I just picked it up on a whim when it came out, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So afterwards, I played all the spin-offs that came after it. And yeah, I've just been following the series ever since.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think mine was fairly similar. I had heard about Persona 5 from a YouTube channel that I watched, and it was around Tokyo Game Show before the game came out, and they kept talking about Persona 5, and I'd never heard of it before. And I was like, I gotta figure out what the heck this game is. And so I looked it up and saw a trailer, and I realized that it was by the same people that did Catherine, and I thought Catherine was cool, and somehow I knew about Catherine but not about Persona. I don't know how many people fall in that same boat. But then I decided I was interested, so I went and played Persona 4 Golden, and then the day Persona 5 came out, I downloaded it and was really excited to play it, and so on and so forth until I played at least the first 3 games. I'm aware of 1 and 2, but I have not gone through 1, 2, or 2.
I've tried 1, but it's very like hard to get into, going from like the modern Persona games into those 2.
I am fascinated by it, especially things like Philemon. I'm like, man, this would be a cool character for them to bring back if they ever did. But alas, I don't think Atlas has anything to do with him anymore.
Yeah, apparently not.
So, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, no. They don't want anything to do with those games, apparently.
And that being said, so you played Persona 5 and the other Persona series. At what point did you feel inspired to start your Memeverse videos?
I think I didn't start doing them until maybe late 2018, and it was right after Persona 5, the animation finished, I think. I spent like a whole year making content for that. And when it ended, I'm like, oh, okay, now what? And so seeing like that anime and the reputation it had of just not being that well animated, I just like thought to myself, what if I tried to animate like some sort of story with like these characters and like do my own takes on them? And then Memeverse was born.
And I think a lot of people are grateful for that because I think there's a lot of jokes that come from it that like I repeat to myself, like I don't know why, but the whole line of like, oh, I want to Persona 3 myself always makes me laugh. And it's just like, it's a lot of like little quips and things that are really clever that I think really sells the series. And I don't know, I always get a kick out of them. And there's obviously been like an evolution of, at least from my perspective, it seems like there's been a little bit of an evolution of like how much work is put into them. And so the average person might just watch something like this and just think, oh, it's just a guy who's, you know, moving a few PNGs around. But some of the stuff you throw in there, it's like, this isn't, you know, the easiest stuff to implement into videos. It takes time. Like my video is not, I don't do any of the effects that you do, at least to the same level that you do. So I assume you probably work with something like After Effects or something.
Yeah, most of like the really like quote unquote big budget effects, as people say in the comments, are like done After Effects. But yeah, it's when I really like want to do like something cool in a video, I'll do it. And I think people are sort of surprised whenever I throw in like something of actual quality.
Absolutely. And that's the thing is like, I definitely have a stronger appreciation for as much work as you put into these videos, because a lot of your videos, they aren't like just short. Some of them can be up to, you know, 16 minutes long or more.
Yeah.
And I mean, just doing that for 16 minutes straight takes a lot of time and effort, even to do the simplest things, you know, to time the movements with the audio. And you add a lot of sound effects to your stuff, so you got to time all that out. So what's kind of your process when you're creating these videos? Where does it start?
Okay, so I guess it starts with like the writing process. I like make a Word document and I write down a script. And usually from there I can like tell how long the video is. Like some of my scripts can go up to like 20 pages if they're really long. And after that I record all the text to speech voices you hear in the videos. And then afterwards, it's like the main animation, which is like the bulk of the video making process. It'll take me like, depending on how long it is, it can take me up like a few weeks or maybe up to a month. And then after that, it's just sound effects and then putting in the subtitles and like polishing it up. So it's the same like 6 steps for every video, but it always varies. Like sometimes I'll take longer to write the script, and sometimes I'll take longer to write or do the animation.
Yeah. And that makes sense. I feel that if you've been doing videos like that for so long, I'm pretty surprised by how quick you're actually able to turn around some of these videos. Because for me, doing it for the first time, I mean, we had to go through the process where, and I'm sure you've run into issues like this, I think specifically probably with some of your the Persona 3 videos, like the FemC one you put out recently.
Yeah.
You use a lot of backgrounds from the games and everything, and I sometimes wonder, I'm like, where's he getting all these from? Do you have to do like Photoshop work to like paint stuff out in the background or anything with certain backgrounds?
So I don't have a custom like camera work for like any of the games. what I do is like I take screenshots from the games, and then you can like manipulate the in-game camera so that your protagonist or whoever you're playing as is like out of the frame, so it's just like a clear background. So a lot of like the Persona 3 backgrounds, if you move like the character around, you can afterwards like just Photoshop them out, and it's like kind of weird because you're like taking it from the in-game camera, which is usually restrictive. But like other times it's not that much work.
I guess that makes sense. That's
But like
that's
you really have
to
to like manipulate like the cameras and stuff.
Yeah. It's similar, I guess, to some of the things we did too, because there were certain things where I just had to go in. I was kind of stupid, and I assume you've played Royal,
Yeah.
and the Thieves' Den, and some of the things I was like, oh, I can just go in here and take a screenshot of some, because you can bring in things like the laundromat or the counselor room. And I would just run in there. And I basically did the same thing where I tried to manipulate the camera, and then I realized that you could actually make your character turn invisible. And so it got really easy to take some of those screenshots for certain backgrounds.
You have to be like really clever with that, but like, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do to get the backgrounds and stuff.
And you even do something sometimes that I think is cool. I don't know how you do this. I'm assuming this is something in After Effects. But sometimes you'll do like these like 3D backgrounds and stuff where you can actually rotate the camera around people, and I have no idea how you do that, but I always find that cool.
It depends on which video you're talking about, because sometimes like the 3D backgrounds are like very simple. They're just like a box area or like a box map. I don't know anything about like 3D animating or stuff. But there are other times where like, oh, I'll try my best to, you know, put the characters in like a not ugly looking background, I guess.
So I do have a question for you, because I was talking to somebody, they pointed this out to me, and I thought it was kind of interesting. Is sometimes the style you animate, it almost seems like you have at least like the basics of real animation down. Have you ever studied any sort of animation before, or do you have any background with video production previous to this?
Absolutely not. I have no like school learning or previous like video animating like experience. Everything, like if you go back to like the first Memeverse episode, you can like tell it's very primitive. As like the years went on, I like picked up certain techniques or certain styles to like animate the characters. So it's all like self-taught.
And I think that's awesome, because like I've been doing video for like, I don't know how long it's been. I think I started really getting to video back in like 2008. And
Ooh, very long.
I've been doing it for a long time, and yet I still have very simple like techniques I use. But you'll throw in little things like you'll do a lot of motion blur, and you'll do cool little things where if characters are moving at a certain speed, you'll see a lot of squishing, and you do a lot of accounting for motion. And if somebody comes in and moves really fast, they don't just stop automatically. You'll see them kind of like wobble and you know, back into place. And that's like usually details that most people like. Again, this seems really simple to most people, I guess, who are watching it, but those are a lot of little details that you have to really pay attention to when you do any sort of animation. My sister does a lot of animation. She was pointing out all these things to me. She's like, it's really cool how even though he's restricted in the medium he's doing, he still throws in all these little things that are basic concepts of animation. And it really kind of helps sell the idea of it's not just these little PNGs running around. There's an actual, like, I don't know what you would call it, but there's an energy to it that I think is really fun that makes it fun to watch.
Yeah, it's like, it's very restrictive when it comes to like what I can animate. But like the parts where I can animate, it's really nice to you add as much life as you can, even like when you're restricted to just still images. You can still like inject some life into them based on how you're animating, I guess.
Right, exactly. So, at what point did you notice that your work started to take off, or you started to see, I guess, a lot of people take interest in your videos?
I mean, I've been doing Persona videos since 2017, like the summer after Persona 5 came out, and even like at the beginning, I noticed like people are more attached to this series or this franchise, and I don't know, it's just a slow growth, I guess. I don't really like notice a big spike of people coming in or people watching. It's just how I've been doing my own thing, and people come and go, and yeah, it's not like something that's sudden. It takes time.
Absolutely. Slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I was just looking at my next question. Okay, so of all your videos, I think I might know the answer to this, but do you have any one that you're particularly attached to or proud of?
I think it's my latest video, Persona 3 FemC in a nutshell. That's like that's like the big one. I'm very proud of how that turned out, and spend a lot of time working on it and returning to like that particular animation style where like all the body parts move. It was like really like a proud moment of my YouTube career, I guess.
And that's another thing is like when you do those videos specifically, you have this almost puppet rig going on with all of these characters, and I can only imagine how much more complex it gets and tedious to animate all of that.
Yeah, for every one character, whereas before they would just be like the one thing you're moving around. For like in those videos, there's like 6 different body parts. There's like 2 leg parts for every single leg, and you gotta move like the head and the arms and stuff. So it's like much more animated, intense, I guess.
So how long did that one take to put together? Because I remember I was kind of following you, you made some references to it on Twitter, and it sounded like it was a pretty intense process.
It was very like long and arduous, I would say. I started working on it in like the beginning of May, I think, and then I didn't like finish until early July, I think I uploaded. But there was like a lot of stuff going on like outside of the videos, and the whole quarantine stuff, and just a lot went against this particular video. And not to mention like the video itself, it was very long. It's still like my longest video. And there was like, I had to remake the opening, I had to do 2 different fight scenes before that single video, and write it and stuff, and yeah, it was very long for like 2 months.
You still did better than I did. Our video
How long?
It took us forever. So there's a lot of factors that go into it. So we wrote it way back in I guess it had to have been, well, let me think. When did Royal come out?
I think
March,
the very end of March
or something. So I think we started at the beginning of May, and we didn't get it put out till the beginning of August. Although during
your one
July,
is 1 hour though, so
yeah, but a lot of it is actually just me narrating stuff, and that part is was actually really easy to put together. I think I put down all the narration stuff with all the footage and stuff together in like 2 days, but everything else took me forever. But part of it was because I was in school at the time, and I also was working, and then we moved in July, so I meant to have it done by early July, but it didn't get out till like early August, unfortunately. But
that's most like outside factors, I guess, which sucks, but still, what are you gonna do about it?
Yeah. So I mean, I would, because again, I know you do multiple series. You've done just the Memeverse series. You've done the Haru episodes, which I was rewatching.
I'm surprised you noticed.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Do you have like a favorite character or anything that you've, at least your interpretation of the characters that you've created?
I don't. It's kind of hard, but I think I would have to say at the moment it would be Femsi, because that was like a character I had like the most creative control over, and every like scene or video I put in her in, it's like I can go pretty much anywhere I want with like how funny I want her to be or how random. Everyone else, like I try to stay within like a certain archetype.
Sure.
But like Femsi is like the one character I can really go all out on.
She's literally the wild card.
Yeah.
You can basically do whatever you want with.
And it'll still be in character.
Exactly. Which I think kind of makes it fun in that sense. Because, yeah, like you said, you're not really beholden to anything specifically that I guess you've established in the past. But I think Femsi is definitely up there for me. I like Haru. I don't know why your Morgana always makes me laugh too.
Because he wants you to go to sleep all the time.
Yeah,
apparently.
exactly. I didn't even. So I made the whole bit in my video. There's this part where, spoilers for Persona 5 Royal, but I'll try to keep it fairly vague. There's a part where there's an alternate ending and Joker basically gets put to sleep permanently. And I had done that entire scene where Morgana comes in, and because I made some references to Sonic, like he's dreaming about being in the Sonic universe after he gets put to sleep, and you see Morgana come in the Sonic outfit, and he's doing this Sammy Sonic lines specifically. And then I'm like watching your videos later, like literally the next day, and I'm like, oh crap. Wait, this is like an established thing with Jamezietocool, and Morgana's in the Sonic outfit. He's making references to Sammy's whatever classic Sonic fan. And I'm like, oh crap, this joke has already been used by him, and I felt really bad about it. I'm like, okay, this one was completely unintentional, but this one like probably comes off as the most. It feels like the most like what you do, and I just thought it was funny. I'm like, this was completely unintentional, but
yeah, funny stuff happens, and it's just the way. Maybe Morgana was always meant to say the Sammy classic Sonic fan line.
Maybe that's true.
It transcends different YouTube channels.
We've had classic my sister, she showed me a classic Sonic Sammy. I can't remember his name. You know who I'm talking about. Because she runs a blog. And she ran this blog on Tumblr called Awkward Sonic Photos that got really popular over there. And she's been into Sonic for as long as I can remember. And she showed me the videos way back in like, I don't know, 2013 or whatever. And so for some reason we've always like referenced him. And so we thought it would be funny to put it in that scene. And I also found that like while I was making my video, there'd be a lot of bits that I didn't actually write previously. That like while I was in the middle of editing it, I was like, oh, I should totally just throw in this stupid joke here. This would fit perfectly in. And so, do you have moments like that while you're in the middle of it, and even if you haven't previously written it in, you just decide to like throw something in?
Yeah, all the time. Like some of my best like jokes that people really like are like just half-ass joke I came up with like 5 minutes before I pressed the render button. Honestly, like I don't like. This is kind of specific, but like the very like ending scene of like Femsi in a nutshell where Makoto comes back, that was not in the original script. I came up with that like at the very end of production, and even though it like ties perfectly with like one of the earlier videos, I didn't actually write it down or come up with it until it just magically came to me like one day while I was making it. And that was like one thing like people really appreciated, like, oh, you referenced this really old video, that's really cool. And I came up with this 5 minutes before I finished.
I always like stuff like that because I don't know. It kind of makes. I think one of the fun things about your stuff is there's this weird like connective tissue between everything.
Very, very vaguely connected. Yes.
Right. And even when you put together, I think it was the season 1 of
compilation, I think.
The Memeverse, and you had them like all like before you went into every episode, you would have this little like transition between them where they're like talking to each other about stuff, and I think little ideas like that are really fun. There's something, I don't know, there's something fun about, you know, knowing that, oh, this might have implications on or this might have implications in the future, or this might have repercussions, even though it's just silly. But like there's something that's kind of fun about that and makes you anticipate the next video.
Yeah, there's like a lot of lore that's like I didn't intend to put in, but it's just like, oh, I like connecting the videos. And even like to some of my newer videos, there's still like secrets I threw in and people still haven't found out about them, or it won't make sense unless like a few months from now when I make a video like specifically referencing that, and people can go back and see, oh, this weird part like that didn't make sense before, it makes sense now.
Right. I know for me, there's actually something I threw into the credit sequence that you see for like a split second that I highly doubt anybody saw, that I just threw in there as a little reference for stuff we plan on doing in the future. And so I think it's funny that you say that, because I was like, oh, this is a fun little Easter egg I should just throw in there. Probably no one will see it. And I had no idea that you you do stuff like that too.
It's very fun to do, honestly. Like, it makes you excited for the next project, I guess.
Yeah. So do you ever find yourself just like on the verge of just running out of steam, or you think to yourself, oh, is this even worth it?
Sometimes, like, it happens most often while I'm making a video and it's been like so long since the previous one, where I'm like, oh, you know, it's been too long, people don't care anymore. Why am I, this isn't even funny, I should just give up now. But it's, you know, you gotta push through that. It happens a lot, but it just comes with like doing videos for so long. It's bound to happen, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I found something interesting when I was making my video was I was working on these scenes for so long, and I had, you know, compiled everything together, and I had cut all the audio together. So, and you obviously have to kind of rewatch these scenes over and over, especially if you're trying to do something specific with the animation, and I'm trying to time out all the keyframes and stuff. And so I've seen the scene 10 million times, and it's not funny to me anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like you've heard the joke over and over. Like the newness factor kind of wears off.
Mm-hmm. And I found that, like, I was like, okay, is this funny anymore? Am I not laughing at it because it's not actually that funny? Or am I not laughing at it because I've seen this joke 10 million times over?
You just have, at least for me, when I feel like that, I just put fade in, like, oh, I found this funny when I wrote it, therefore it'll be funny when I finish. And even if it doesn't seem funny right now, you just have to put like trust in yourself. Like, oh, I found this funny at some point in my life, therefore it'll be funny when I finish.
Right, exactly. And it was very cathartic to show it to people. And because my friend Blur and I worked on the video together, we wrote it together, and we were writing it, we were dying laughing, just coming up with these dumb ideas like, oh, Akechi should be wearing the Speedo, and it should say this on it, and what should Joker say? Or when we came up with all these jokes, and then and it was very cathartic when I finally showed it to her and and our other friend Okaboji, and they were just dying laughing watching the finished product. I'm like, okay, I'm so glad to see other people laughing at this. And I think there is something to be said for like, there's something about seeing it through that is just, I guess cathartic is the word. That's exciting. That makes it feel fresh again when you see the full, complete product.
That's interesting, because I sort of have the opposite view. I mean, in terms of that, I mean, like, when I upload a video, I don't like rewatch it afterwards because I you see it so many times, and even like all the comments say, "Oh, it's so funny, this is so good." I'm just like physically unable to like rewatch a video. So once it's done, I like send it out and then I let it do its thing. But no, it's like really good. You can like show it to your friends and they find it funny, and it's very self-rewarding, I assume, I guess.
Yeah, and no, you do make a good point there. I think once I put it on YouTube itself, and once it was up, I was like, all right, I don't need to, I don't need to see this again. But yeah, I think maybe in time when I haven't seen something for a long time, because I have old YouTube channels with old dumb videos I made, and sometimes I'll go back to those and I watch those. But then there are other things like I can never go back and watch. I have some old podcasts I did with, like, for instance, funny story. So I had an old podcast and I interviewed the voice actor for Mishima.
Ooh.
Who I think Fither also interviewed him.
Yeah, I think he did something like that too.
Yeah, and I interviewed him, and we talked about, you know, some of his roles from Zelda, Danganronpa, and of course Persona. And we had him do this like little voice acting training session with us. It was kind of fun. And later I get a message, because I did it with my sister, and we had Skyped him, and so later I get a message after the podcast that I never saw for like months. And months later, I go back into my Skype, because I hadn't logged in since we did like that podcast. And I go in, and it's a message from his voice actor. And it says something like, "Hey man, I'm really sorry about that. The entire time it just looked like, I think he thought my sister ran the podcast. And he was like, it looked like your brother just like really had a hard time with me and really didn't like me the entire time." And I was just like, no, that's not what it was. I just have this face, I guess, that makes me look really like angry or whatever. And I felt horrible about that. So like 3 months later, I sent him this entire apology, and I never got a response back. And I felt horrible.
Did you send a message on Skype?
Yeah, I just like sent it to him really quick when I saw the message like 3 months later.
I mean, maybe he just hasn't seen it.
Probably. I'm sure he didn't actually mean anything by it. I just felt really guilty about it. And it's like, no, I swear, I was thoroughly entertained by you the entire time. But that's my only real interaction with anybody from the game. But it is funny to get feedback on stuff sometimes, and that's why, like, that podcast specifically, it's very hard for me to go back and watch it. I'm like, I don't want to know what other people think of me if that's what he thought of me.
You gotta get that self-confidence back, man.
Yeah, it's something. And usually I can push myself, but so with your videos specifically, you've been doing this for a while. Do you have any specific like aspirations of anything that you really want to make?
I think at the moment I really want to finish like the horror series specifically. It's like I planned a lot of like the stuff when I made it, like I think over a year now, and it's still not finished. So like that's the main driving force, is like I really want to do like the stuff that I planned out and finish that series. That's like one of the things I really want to do at the moment. But also, you know, branching out and doing other stuff sort of keeps you going every now and then, I guess.
I saw you make a little reference to, I forgot where, I think this was on Twitter, where you talked about, I think it was you, maybe doing something with like Fire Emblem in the future.
Yeah, that was me, yeah. Because
I think that'd be cool.
I did one Fire Emblem video in the past, and it was like very refreshing and people liked it a lot, so maybe we'll see if I can jump back in.
Yeah, I can't say I've kept much of an eye on the Fire Emblem community since the DLC came out. That was my first Fire Emblem game, so
I haven't even played the DLC, honestly.
It's okay. Some of the battles are, at least for me, I'm not particularly adept with with any sort of RPGs. But it was slightly more difficult than the base game, but it was, I don't know, I didn't really care for the story that much. It almost felt very inconsequential to the original game, because obviously it takes place before the ending and everything. So I don't know, I had mixed feelings about it.
Interesting. Well, I'll see when I eventually play it, and we'll see if I make a video on that.
Absolutely. Well, I know we're only about a little over half an hour in, but I think I might end it here. I think I want to try to keep some of my videos a little more brief. But that being said, do you mind just telling people where they can find you at?
Yeah, you can find my YouTube channel. It's Jamezietocool. And I guess the only other social media I have is Twitter, so at Jamezietocool again. And yeah, check out my videos if you haven't.
Absolutely. And if you guys, and I know there's only a very small audience on my channel, but if you guys are interested in any of the stuff that I did, go and check out Jamezietocool. He does everything to a much higher degree than I've been able to do it.
Don't say that, come on.
But no, seriously, Jamezietocool was a big inspiration, and so you guys should definitely check him out. I hope that maybe one day we can do something in the future together. That would be really cool.
Yeah,
So
send me whatever you want, and we can work it out.
yeah, that would be awesome. So we'll see. Maybe something will come of that, guys. So thanks for coming on this. This is still a relatively new thing for me. We hope to continue to talk to more people from the Persona community. I'd love to chat with Fithers sometime. There's a few other people I have my eye on that I'd really like to sit down with and talk to. But yeah, we'll see. I'm still very new to the Persona, like the actual community online. Like I've liked the game for a long time, but this is the first I've actually really started jumping into, really getting into any fandom. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, thanks again for coming on the show, and we'll talk to you guys later.
See ya.